Okay, here's my awesome audience of 3. Thank you for coming very much. Appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about waste to energy on the island of Hawaii. We're going to go into the material world and how anything and everything is readily available to us. We're going to talk about our disconnect from waste and what actually happens to our materials when we're through with them. I'm going to be showing you a few different landfills. We're going to talk about a sustainable solution to disposing of our waste and the benefits of turning waste into energy, and then just wrap up with a quick conclusion. So we currently live in a world where, we've come a long way since for easy living. Anything and everything we need is readily available to us. If we can't buy it locally, then it can be ordered on Amazon and shipped to our house the very next day. This is literally amazing, given the fact that mail used to be delivered by a man on a horse. So it's kind of cool, but given that we have anything and everything we need and want, we tend to just dispose of things and never really think about where it goes. So that's kind of what we're going to go into just really briefly. The average American produces 4.3 pounds of waste a day. That is 1.6 pounds more than approximately 50 years ago. The 55% of the 220 million tons of waste generated in the U.S. alone ends up in one of the 3,500 landfills. So disposing of our waste is how we fit into an environment, and we're currently so disconnected from where our food comes from and where our materials come from and how to dispose of them, because they all just end up in a landfill because it's kind of out of sight and we don't really think about it. So here's just a few landfills. This one's in Los Angeles. It's roughly 700 acres and it towers about 500 feet high and takes in about 12,000 tons of garbage a day and currently holds 3.7 million tons. There's one in Las Vegas that takes in about 9,000 tons of waste a day. It currently holds 50 million tons of waste and is predicted to hold 1 billion tons by the time that it is closed. Some landfills are already closed. There's this one in Mexico that was accepting 12,000 tons of garbage a day until it closed in 2011. And there were no alternative dumping site solutions, so people actually just continue to throw their waste there, and it just keeps accumulating, which is really crazy. Just last month, the Hawaii County Environmental Management Director Bill Kucharski said during a meeting that the East Hawaii landfill is due to reach its capacity within the next year. They're currently brainstorming different options on what to do next, but it's more likely that they'll take the 200 tons of trash that they have there and dump it onto the east or to the west side of Hawaii. So there's an ever-growing issue of overpopulation. So with more people, there's going to be more waste, and there's going to be a demand for energy resources. So waste's currently a burden, and it's we don't like to look at it. We don't want to deal with it. So at one point, it's going to become so much that we aren't going to be able to look the other way, and we're going to have to figure out a solution what to do with our waste. And it's with this that we will be able to hopefully realize the benefits of actually turning waste into energy. Eco engineers are people who dedicate their time to creating models that will take all the waste that is dumped into a landfill and turn it into electricity. So there's 7 stages of a model that would turn waste into energy. So what would first happen is the waste would be dumped into this large pit, and then this giant crane would come down and pick up the trash and put it into a combustion chamber. The waste, which is fuel, is burned, releasing heat, and then inside of a broiler, the heat will turn water into high-pressure steam, which will turn the blades of a turbine that will produce electricity, and it can produce a ton of electricity. A concern for burning waste is the pollution, the air pollution, but for a clean waste to energy system, they would have an air pollution control system where they would remove pollutants from the combustion gas before it's released through a smokestack, which would just be pretty much steam. And then the waste from this whole process is typically just like scrap metal and ash, and it's separated using a magnet for the metal, and then the ash can be recycled for things like cement to build roads and like concrete buildings. So it's pretty neat. So by using a waste to energy incinerator, it would be like the ultimate recycling, sustainable recycling center for the Big Island. For this project, I was lucky enough to meet with Camille Henriquez. She's over in the Atlas Recycling Center, and it's there that she explained the benefits of the economic and environmental benefits of recycling our waste. So with recycling our waste, we'll be able to reduce our carbon footprint. When trash is dumped into a landfill, it decays. It starts to decay once it sits there for a long time and produces methane, which contributes to climate change. Methane traps heat in the atmosphere and slowly depletes the ozone layer, which is the layer that protects us from the sun burning us to death. We will also be able to have energy resources that use minimal fossil fuels. 2,200 tons of waste is equivalent to 50 megawatts. And 1 megawatt can power 1,000 homes, so it's a lot of energy. We will also not have to worry about contaminated groundwater. A lot of the land sites, when they sit there, the toxic chemicals will seep into the ground. They call this leachate, and it should be monitored. Waste should be monitored when it comes in, but several studies have showed that the groundwater is still contaminated. A proper landfill will not affect groundwater, but leachate, the toxic chemicals leaching into the ground, are always a major concern. So we currently live in a world where we are super disconnected from our environment and the natural process of waste. So today waste is dirty and it's useless and it's a burden, but at some point we won't be able to look the other way, and we will hopefully realize that it can be everything we need. It can be a nutrient, a fertilizer, and it can be a source of energy. So by being aware of where your waste goes and how to dispose of it properly is a first step in hopefully fixing the crisis that we are in. It's best to think first before buying things that can't be recycled, is another major thing. But by using a clean waste-to-energy incinerator on the Big Island, hopefully we can set an example to the rest of the world that turning waste into energy is productive, and it hopefully provides more sustainable resources for future generations. So thanks for listening to my speech, and on something that I feel pretty passionate about, and hopefully today you can leave with a sense of where your waste goes and how to dispose of it properly. Thanks, guys.
Good job, girl.